Hi everyone, today I wanted to share a budgeting tool with you that really changed and saved my financial life. Prior to me using this tool, I was essentially living paycheck to paycheck. While I did make the minimum payments on all my debts and I was able to cover like my cell phone bill and things like that, that's all I was doing. But once I started to use this budget spreadsheet, I was able to not only pay my debt, but I accelerated my debt payments. I was able to create and meet savings goals. I was able to go on vacations. I was able to save up enough to leave my parents' house. I was able to do so much that I would not have been able to do prior to using this budgeting spreadsheet. And that's just because of the clarity that it brings. And you'll see when I show you the on-screen example. But when you do things in your head, versus when you actually physically look at the numbers, it makes such a difference. And this budget spreadsheet, it will be perfect for people that either just graduated college or you're in your first 5 years of your career or so. And I'm sure even people that have been working for a long time, it could still apply because budgeting is budgeting. So just download the spreadsheet, and I left the link in the description box below, and you can follow with me as I go through the spreadsheet on screen. Just as a disclaimer, what I do on screen will be a bit more simple than what you see. For example, when I do go through the debt section, what you'll see when you download it is that there's a section for you to put not up to 9 different debts, but my on-screen example will only have one debt, and I made the simplified version on screen just so that you can understand the concepts of what I'm doing, and then you can take that knowledge and then run with it on the version that you downloaded. So you basically what you download will have more than what I'm showing you, and that's just because I wanted you to have options. I didn't want to limit you and just put one debt because most people don't have that. But I do want to have a simplified example just so that you understand what to do. Okay, so without further ado, let's begin. The first thing that you want to do is start with your check dates. For this example, I'm using somebody that gets paid on a bi-weekly basis, and I'm beginning with the month of September 2014. Feel free to start in whatever month that you're beginning your budget in. For example, if you start your budget in July, you would just start on the July tab or the August tab if you're starting in August. Okay, so if you get paid on a bi-weekly basis during the month of September 2014, you'll most likely receive a check on September 12th and September 26th. So I'll update the check date number cell with the actual check date. The next thing that you want to do is enter your salary, and you can get that amount straight from your paycheck. So in this example, this is somebody that makes $3,000 a month after taxes or $36,000 a year after taxes. 3,000 divided by 2 paychecks would be $1,500 per paycheck. After you've entered your check date and your salary, the next thing that you want to do is enter the names, amounts, and due dates of all of your mandatory bills, excluding your debt. So for this example, I have a cell phone, cable and internet, electric, car insurance, and gym. Those are all my mandatory expenses, excluding my debt. And you can also bold the amount and the due date of your mandatory expenses just so that they stick out to you. For those of you that are not that familiar with Excel, if you want to bold something, you would highlight the cell or click the cell, then highlight what you want to have bolded. So in this case, it's the dollar amount. And you would either click the B, or you can press on your keyboard Control B, or if you have a Mac, Command B, and then it's bolded. After you enter your mandatory expenses, excluding debt, then you want to enter your actual debts, the minimum payments of your debts on these color-coded lines, and you'll realize why you're putting it on the color-coded lines later on in another video. But for now, put all your debts, the names, the amounts, the names and the amount of the minimum payment and the due date. So say for example, if you have a car note, you will put card note 230 due on the 30th. So I've actually made an example and I pre-populated it just to make this video a bit quicker. Okay. So you see I put cell phone $80 due on the 21st, cable and internet $95 due on the 15th, and you see I have 2 debts. One is a car note, the minimum payment is $100, it's due on the 28th. There's a student loan, the minimum payment is $100 and it's due on the 30th. All right. So now that you know what your expenses are and when they're due, how do you make sure that they're paid on time? I'll show you what I do. And a big help is the fact that you put your check dates. So say, for example, the cell phone bill that's due on the 21st. Well, if you were to try to take it out of your 9/26 paycheck, you'd be late because it's due on the 21st. So you can only pay it from the 9/12 paycheck. So we'll put $80 here. Same thing for the $95 cable internet bill due on the 15th. The 26th will be too late. So some of these are self-explanatory because you only have one option based on your check date. Same for the electric bill that's due on the 16th and car insurance that's due on the 19th. Now, what about the gym membership? I wanted to do an example of bills that are due at the beginning of the month. So in this example, let's just say that you're actually starting with the 9/12 paycheck. So the gym membership that's due on the 2nd, that's not due until October 2nd, right? Okay, so again, just to repeat, we're starting on 9/12/14. So we're just assuming at this point that you already paid the bill that was due on September 2nd. So now you're budgeting for the gym membership that's due on October 2nd. And so because the 12th and the 26th both come before October 2nd, you can take it out of any of those checks. But I'll just take it out of the 9/26 paycheck because I've already taken a lot out of the 9/12 paycheck. And then there's the car note. You have $100 due on the 28th. Both the 12th and the 26th are before the 28th, so you can take it out of either paycheck. So you can split it up. Say you can do $50 out of each. And also, just as a quick note, I have this total tab just as a check for you. So say it's totaling everything that you write in either columns B, C, or D. So it's summing anything like say the 50, and if there was an amount here, it'd be summing it up. So you compare the total column to the amount that's due. So it's a check for you to make sure that you're getting the right amount. Like say if I made a mistake and put 20 here, this is only 70. I need 100. So I just check between the total tab and the bill that's due just to make sure that what I'm allocating out of each check equals what I need. So let's say we're going to split up 50 between each check. And then lastly, you have the student loan and the amount of $100 due on the 30th. I want to take the 100 out of the 9/26 check. Let's review. So for the 9/12/14 paycheck, you've made $1,500. You've entered all of your mandatory expenses, and if you look, your total allocation so far are $422. So that says that everything you've entered so far equals $422. So again, you've made $1,500. So far, you've allocated $422 of that to your mandatory expenses, and the remaining income is $1,078. And then the same with the 9/26/14 paycheck, you're going to make $1,500. Out of that, you have allocated $200, and you have $1,300 left to allocate as you wish. So now that you've entered your mandatory expenses and the due dates, all you have to do is keep that 422 and the 200 in your account until they're due. Again, you know basically that because your mandatory expenses come to $422, you cannot touch that 422 because it's going to be spent on your mandatory expenses. So that's how you make sure that your expenses are due. You first determine how much the expenses are, and then you leave that money. You don't spend it because it goes to something else. So you know, out of my 9/12/14 paycheck, I can only spend 1,078 of it. That 422 has to stay in there because it's meant for something else. Same thing with 9/26. I made 1,500. Well, I can't touch 200 of that because, that's going to something else. I can only spend 1,300 out of it. Hope that makes sense. In video number 2, I'll explain what I consider to be the fun part of budgeting, and that's determining how to allocate the rest of your money. Because in reality, once you have your mandatory expenses covered, you can choose to do whatever you like with the rest of it. All right, stay tuned.